The Holy Island of Lindisfarne is a beautiful and spectacular island that is only accessible at certain times of the day. The tide makes the island inaccessible, and it's possible to be cut off there. However, it's a remarkable place to visit, and it's an island steeped in incredible history and religious lore, as Lindisfarne and the Priory here had a very important role in the spread of Christianity in the north in the early medieval period. However, it was a site of a devastating Viking raid that contributed to the feared reputation of the Danes and the invaders at the time. Today we look at the Viking attack on Lindisfarne, and remember to support our channel. Please make sure to subscribe. The Monastery of Lindisfarne was founded around the year 634 by the Irish monk St Aidan. He was sent from Iona, just off the west coast of Scotland, to Northumbria. He had been sent to spread the word of Christianity, and once on Holy Island, he established a priory there, and he stayed for the next 17 years until he died. The priory today is a spectacular ruin, and was rebuilt following the Viking attack on the same site. Lindisfarne had an incredibly important religious value to the north of England, and Bede commented, "In this island of Lindisfarne, small as it is, there is found the seat of a bishop. Also it is home to an abbot and monks. For one and the same dwelling place of the servants of God holds both, and indeed all are monks. The abbot, who they themselves have chosen by the advice of the brethren, rules the monastery, and all the priests, deacons, singers, and ecclesiastical grades, together with the bishop himself, keep the monastic rule in all things. It became a base for early Christian worship in the north of England, and the monks from Iona settled on the island. St Cuthbert was also an abbot of the monastery, and he was considered a valued member of the order, and today is the patron saint of Northumbria. Cuthbert became the Bishop of Lindisfarne, and following his death, he was buried inside of the priory, and his remains were kept there. However, in the year 793, life on the peaceful island was changed forever, with a brutal raid that would go down in history as one of the most savage of the Vikings. The island before was incredibly peaceful, but horror and terror soon hit Holy Island. In Northumbria, there was a belief that something tragic was on the horizon, possibly a plague or some high-profile death, but no one could have predicted the attack on the monastery. It was said in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle that, "Here were dreadful forewarnings come over the land of Northumbria, and woefully terrified the people. These were amazing sheets of lightning and whirlwind, and fiery dragons were seen flying in the sky." A great famine soon followed these signs, and shortly after, in the same year, the woeful inroads of heathen men destroyed God's church in Lindisfarne Island by fierce robbery and slaughter. It's mostly accepted that the Viking Raid took place on the 8th of June 793, as the conditions and the season made it the perfect time for the Vikings to raid. They arrived in their longships on the shores of Lindisfarne, and the monks who lived inside the monastery were taken by surprise by the Viking invaders. They landed on Holy Island and rampaged throughout the whole settlement, causing massive amounts of devastation, death and chaos. The houses of those who lived outside of the monastery and farmed the land were burned down, with the inhabitants slaughtered in their homes and their wealth and riches stolen and raided. The island was completely pillaged and robbed, but the worst came inside of the monastery, which was considered incredibly holy. The Vikings arrived at the monastery and would have been aware of the importance and riches of the site. Everything on the island focused around the monastic order, and this is where the Vikings really focused their attack on. Inside of the monastery, they caused an absolute bloodbath. They entered the building and slaughtered the monks inside of their own homes, with their axes in horrific scenes. A scholar wrote, "It is nearly 350 years that we and our fathers have inhabited this most lovely land, and never before has such terror appeared in Britain, as we have now suffered from a pagan race. Behold the church of St Cuthbert, splattered with the blood of the priests of God, despoiled of all its ornaments, a place more venerable than all in Britain is given as prey to pagan people." The monastery would have been a terrible sight. There would have been bloodshed all up the walls and on the floors. The slaughter of the unarmed and pious men of God was barbaric, and the Vikings took no mercy on the priests and monks who lived inside, with them all being killed. They stole a number of precious ornaments and valuables also, and the monastery, which would have been covered in priceless holy relics, was sacked and looted. Many of these valuables were made from gold and had great value. It was written that the heathens poured out the blood of saints around the altar and trampled on the bodies of saints in the temple of God like dung in the streets. These accounts really do show the anger that they had towards the Vikings because of the raid. It was also said how in the same year the pagans from the northern regions came with an naval force to Britain like stinging hornets and spread on all sides like fearful wolves, robbed, tore and slaughtered not only beasts of burden, sheep and oxen, but even priests and deacons and companies of monks and nuns. And they came to the church of Lindisfarne, laid everything to waste with previous plundering, trampled the holy places with polluted steps, dug up the altars, and seized all of the treasures of the holy church. They killed some of the brothers, took some away with them in fetters, many they drove out, naked and loaded with insults, some they even drowned in the sea. The Vikings did miss one relic though, that being the body of St Cuthbert, which was later taken away to a different site, away from the site of the massacre. The effect of the raid on Lindisfarne was truly catastrophic, with the monastic order on the island being completely destroyed, and their monastery was never the same again. The effect was that the area became abandoned until the 12th century, when a Norman priory was built upon the island and re-inhabited. This is what you can still see today on the island. However, the devastating raid did wonders for the Vikings' reputation as the most feared group of conquerors and attackers in the medieval period. They got everything they wanted, immense riches associated with the monastery, a propaganda boost from destroying the monastery, and also a terrifying reputation that later they would build upon as they sought to conquer more land in England. Once again, thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.